Bom dia aos presentes. Vamos só dar aqui mais 3, 4 minutinhos para as pessoas que ainda estão a fazer join e de seguida daremos seguimento ao webinar. Obrigado. Bart, we will just wait 1 or 2 more minutes just to give everyone a chance to join.
Yeah, sure, no problem.
Mais uma vez, bom dia a todos. Vamos então dar seguimento ao webinar de hoje. O webinar de hoje é focado nas novidades do Creative Cloud que foram reveladas na conferência anual da Adobe, no Adobe Max. Nesta sessão teremos mais uma vez o Bart, que nos tem ajudado com vários webinars. As apresentações têm sido sempre ótimas, por isso espero que mais uma vez aproveitem esta sessão para descobrir as novas funcionalidades. No slide tem os meus contactos, tem o contacto também da minha colega Rita, que leva a Adobe dentro da Tech Data comigo. Qualquer questão que tenham durante o webinar, podem ir colocando no Q&A ou no chat, em português ou em inglês. Se for necessário, nós ajudamos a traduzir a pergunta para o Bart. No fim do webinar, também faremos unmute a toda a gente, por isso se quiserem depois colocar as questões apenas no fim do webinar, podem também aguardar. Bart, I will stop sharing my screen. Thank you once again for helping us with another webinar, and the show is yours.
Cool, thank you. I'm just going to go ahead and just activate my camera here for a second. There we am. Good morning. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I'm just going to go ahead and just start sharing my screen here for a second. There we go. Ricardo, can you confirm that you can see my screen?
Yes.
Excellent. Well, hello, good morning, and thank you so much for joining. So my name is Bart van der Wiele. I'm a principal solution consultant here at Adobe, and it's been a very exciting month. I'm not sure about you guys, like how much you've been following the Adobe news, basically. So a couple of weeks ago, we had the Adobe Max Conference. So it's the biggest creative conference in the world, and that's not saying me because I work for Adobe, but it really is the biggest one in the world. And so it was a virtual conference again, unfortunately. Usually we have this on location in Los Angeles. And then a couple of weeks ago, we had this as an online session. Now, the advantage of doing this as an online session is basically us opening up the Adobe Max Conference for everyone. So this means that while before you had to, book a hotel for a week and grab a flight and fly to Los Angeles, which, we don't all get to do, everything is available to everyone now 100% online. So there are two really cool things about Adobe Max. The first one is about updates. So this is exactly what this webinar is going to be about. So this is about the brand new CC 2022 release that we've all received a couple of weeks ago. So I'm going to talk about some of the things that we announced during Adobe Max. I'm going to talk about all of the new functionality that you have in the apps. Well, not all new functionality, because of course we've got a million applications out there. I'm going to simply just kind of try and kind of focus on like some of the main ones, like especially Photoshop. There's some Lightroom in there, there's some Illustrator in there, there's a little bit of Bridge in there. I'm going to try and touch like a little bit of everything here. Okay. Now, the second interesting thing about Adobe Max is sessions. So it's not just about announcements, it's about sessions. So remember, there are over 450 unique sessions that you can watch on demand on the Adobe Max webpage. Do you want to learn more about 3D? Go to the Adobe Max page. Do you want to learn about image retouching, like more advanced things, like coming from experts? Go to the Adobe Max webpage. Do you want to learn more about digital illustration? Do you want to learn about like the market and how to stay creative and competitive in the world of COVID and working from home? Like, just go to the Adobe Max webpage. And if you want to learn more about Adobe InDesign, go to my session on the same Adobe Max page. So again, there's a lot of content out there. It's like this gold mine of content. So if you've got a couple minutes to spare, I would really suggest you take a look at that. Now, let's get started. First, a short introduction video.
And then it went like a 1, 2, 3, 4. A 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, if it's glass, yeah, you're gonna shatter it. Battle your battles, you gotta tell it how to the cure. You can breathe underwater. Would you teach me how to do it? Yeah, I wanna take a swim, bring me with you one time. We can fly if you take me under your wing. But let me do my thing. And then it went like a hey, hey, hey. A 5, 6, 7, 8. If it's trash, yeah, you're gonna take it out. Handle it rapidly, got the magic, you got it for sure. You can see what's in future. Would you put me in the picture? Yeah, I'm gonna make it nice. Yeah, I'll bring the good vibes. Gotta win if you let me into the race. But I would do it my way. And then it went like a 1, 2, 3, 4. A 1, 2, 3, 4. A 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, that was just a quick like intro to all the stuff that we have. Well, not even all the stuff, because we were actually missing a couple of applications there. But again, there's a lot of stuff that basically has become available to all of you just by quickly updating your software here. So let's take a look at some of the details. Oh, let's take a look at some of the details of the Adobe Max conference. So Adobe Max always comes with some central themes. And we've got 4 central themes for this year as well. So we've got connected creativity, unleashing potential, boosting creative careers, and we've got the disinformation, struggle that we have to deal with every single day here. So let's quickly go through every one of these different categories and just see what is that we launched or what is that we announced during this Adobe Max edition here. The first one's going to be about connected creativity, and this is about how you work and who your stakeholders are, because I know that maybe some of you like you might be working as a freelancer, which is fine, but others might be working in a larger corporation where you're actually dealing with a lot of people that need to basically work with you together on a campaign. This could be for a design, this could be for a print campaign, web campaign, social media, video, UX design, product development, like you name it. You have to work with stakeholders that need to comment on your work, that might be supplying you with text or copy edits, or input regarding what your pictures look like, or they might have sketches, or you might be working with other designers, or this might be someone from marketing, someone does branding, someone that like a product manager needs to sign off on your campaign. This could be anything. So we very often have to work with a lot of like non-creative people, and their role is just as important as our role. When we deliver the creative content, we work on it, which is great, but we're not doing the entire campaign. We're part of a production process, right? So how are you going to better collaborate with those individuals? That is the main question. And especially now with the massive acceleration that we've all had in the last 2 years, unfortunately, due to COVID and having to work from home and all that kind of stuff, we're basically forced to be more flexible. And so this is something that Adobe has, noticed as well, because of course we spend, I'm not sure how much it is every single year, but it's a ridiculous amount on research and development every single year. So we talk to customers, we talk to Microsoft and other very strategic partners about how do you work, how do you lose time, what are your struggles, like what can we do to help? And connected creativity is one of the main pillars for next year. And so we've made a really cool announcement there as well. So basically, let's just imagine that you are launching a large campaign. Let's say this is for a new brand, or let's say a drink, a soda drink, or a perfume or food, doesn't matter. So let's say you have this massive campaign. So we've got a lot of people and a lot of different steps here involved if you're working on such a campaign. So basically, first of all, first stage is going to be strategy sessions where you have to talk about what is that you want to achieve, where you've got management together with an agency or media companies. And they just basically have to go through all these different steps here, going from strategy into ideation, and the project and the idea goes from management to agency and back. And again, marketing needs to approve on and do all those things as well. You're going to create mockups. You're going to be distributing ideas. You have to talk about briefing and costs. You have to talk about the execution of the media plan. Again, a lot of exchanges happening via, email and Microsoft Teams and WhatsApp and whatever it is that you might be using, just to kind of get in touch with everyone here. Everyone needs to sign off on something, because once you are in a process, you're going to run into certain things like, okay, I'm working on this. This needs to be approved by a certain person. This person says it's great, but you have to make certain changes. Those changes need to be verified with, let's say, someone from marketing. That marketing might say, no, it's not what we want. So marketing needs to talk with management. It's not always easy, because in the end, you really need to make sure that everything you do is fully transparent, and you need to be able to see, what are we working on? Is it within budget? Are we going to make the deadline? Who signed off on the project? Who authorized certain changes in the campaign? All those things, you need to be able to track all these things. And so basically, this plan keeps going and going, versions, distribution going and going, and there's cost, and you need technology. And so this is a very complex process. And like when I started out in this industry a very long time ago, so I was a graphic designer. So I worked for, really big ad agencies, like international ad agencies. That was what I used to do. And this is really what happens, because I used to work with a separate copywriter, with a separate graphic designer, and I had to work with like a campaign manager as well. And sometimes we even had marketing involved. Oh, and maybe if there was video involved, another one that's responsible for video. And so basically, we had to coordinate all those campaigns together, and it was a bit of a nightmare sometimes. So the thing is, what we announced a couple of weeks ago is two brand new systems. One is called Creative Cloud Spaces, and a space is basically an online environment where you're able to basically create your own space here, and then share that space with a lot of different people in the team. And then they can basically store everything they need for that particular project in that space. So this could be, you creating Creative Cloud libraries, collecting video, fonts, colors, and all the other things here as well. And within that space, you can also create something called a canvas. And a canvas is something where everything comes together. So a canvas looks like this here. So this is basically a web page where you basically collect all of the content that you have. And so you basically invite all of your stakeholders into that canvas. And these are not Creative Cloud users. These are not graphic designers. They just have something they need to give you input on the campaign. You have to work with them directly, but the canvas is where everything basically comes together. So basically, this means that if I'm a graphic designer, if I have whatever created images in Photoshop, I can post those images here directly on the canvas. Let's say I'm working with a freelancer. This freelancer might have an idea or like a mock-up for like a brochure or an illustration or an animation for the web or anything else, or an interactive mock-up for a UI experience. They can all pin that on this board basically as a canvas. And then you can basically have other people involved with that canvas as well here directly in this environment. And you can even do video conferencing. You can place comments. You can add like little stickers like, I love this. This is great. And everybody gets visibility in the entire process. So this is something that we announced at Max. If you want to see this happening in action, I would suggest you take a look at the main keynote sessions of Adobe Max. And this is available in a private beta right now. And we're looking to expand that throughout 2022 as a public beta, and then of course having a very first official release of this system here. So again, we're looking for participants. So if you're interested, be sure to sign up for the private beta. Now, also interesting is we recently acquired a company called Frame.io, and I'm not going to dive too deep into this here. So basically, Frame.io was like the worldwide standard for online video collaboration. So Adobe acquired Frame.io only a couple of months ago, and so we're looking at implementing the functionality of Frame.io within apps like Adobe Premiere Pro and After Effects here. So basically looking at collaboration, a couple of things here that we basically launched. I'm also going to talk about very briefly about Illustrator and Photoshop on the web, but that's for later here. But just know that the ecosystem is really, really growing when it comes to Adobe Creative Cloud. Now, creative potential, this is where all the juicy stuff is. So basically, we have a lot of new functionality, as you might have seen in that original video, that is basically based on AI. So we have implemented a lot of new functionalities that rely very heavily on algorithms, and it's basically there to kind of make things easier for you. And I gotta say, it's some of the stuff they put in there is really, really spectacular. Especially like the Photoshop stuff, I gotta say. So basically, this is going to help you save time. So I'm going to talk about the neural filters in Photoshop. I mean, the updated neural filters in Photoshop, brand new automatic selection functionalities in Lightroom. We've got, let's say, remix features in Premiere Pro, which allows you to basically change the sound, change the audio tracks of video, basically reducing the audio track or maybe expanding it. It's going to remix the entire clip, which is kind of cool. Body trackers and character animator, where you're basically now kind of moving around like a puppet, and your puppet's going to do exactly what you're doing. So it's not just tracking your facial mimics; it's also going to track your actual body movements using like something they call a bone system. Again, it's super, super cool. So anyway, this is something that you guys can discover on your own as well. I'm just going to try and see if I can get you guys all excited. Now, regarding Adobe Fresco, again, a couple things here. For example, we've got perspective grids, very interesting. So the digital drawing and painting app that we have available on the iPad. So now you can work in perspective. Frame animation, same thing. So if you have an illustration, you can now start to add keyframes, and you can basically animate your drawings as well using Fresco, which I think is pretty darn cool. Adobe Xd, same thing. So we've introduced a couple things here. Like what you see on screen right now is created 100% using Adobe Xd. So this is clicking to different videos, the pop-ups, the hovers, the animations, the slide in, commenting, selecting, and animating emoji. Everything is done using Adobe Xd, which is which is mind blowing. And the thing is, so what we allow now today with the latest version of Adobe Xd is we allow you to place video files directly into your UI designs, and also import Lottie animations. So for those unfamiliar with Lottie animations, these are JavaScript based animations. So you can basically create your own using After Effects, for example, or you can just download Lottie animations using a plugin for Adobe XD. And this will enable you to basically enrich all the interactive prototypes that you're building, and basically give this really amazing interactive experience here as you're working on all of these kind of things here. So again, this video just kind of keeps playing and keeps going. So what you can do is just absolutely insane here. Creative careers, again, something that is not to be underestimated. So basically know that on the Behance page that you have, again, every Creative Cloud member has a Behance page available. You can now basically, first of all, search do a visual search command looking for a very particular type of artwork to get you guys inspired. But you can now also include interactive prototypes that come from Adobe XD if you're into Adobe XD and UI design. So you can actually put in these interactive prototypes from now on, which is really cool. And what's also interesting is that you now have access to Behance subscriptions. So this is something that we've also opened up within your Creative Cloud membership. So what's a Behance subscription? Well, the thing is that if you are an artist and if you have content that you place on a regular basis, so a lot of people who follow you around are actually really fans of all the artwork that you build and the designs and the animations, everything. You can basically ask them for a very small fee of, let's say, €1, €2, whatever it is that you want, and you can basically allow users to subscribe to your feed. And this is something where before you had to pay Behance to get that functionality. Now this is included for free in Adobe Creative Cloud. So anyone can now basically set up their own subscription system and have people subscribe to their content, whatever that content might be. Then the last bit, combat disinformation. It's a bit of a sad subject, but again, it is really, really important. Again, looking at looking at the world today here and looking at society in general. So the thing is, like Adobe builds this software which just enables you to just use one click and change what a picture looks like, or change what a video looks like. We can change audio. We can manipulate a lot of media basically. And the thing is, this is all built for the sake of good, for the doing business, having fun, being creative. But the thing is, we do struggle, unfortunately, with a lot of people who don't really have that good intentions. So they abuse the software and use that for their own political goals, whatever it might be. So misinformation is a real problem. So the thing is, what Adobe did announce, I think it was a year ago, was the Content Authenticity Initiative, which is something that we've now built upon as well. And so this means that as you build your own artwork, for example, in Photoshop, where this initiative is starting out here, you will be able to leave breadcrumbs. This is available today. You will be able to leave breadcrumbs in your design. And then when you go ahead and publish your work, you will be able to basically inspect someone else's design and see the breadcrumbs and prove that they, first of all, that either they are the real creator of that piece of artwork, and secondly, you can also verify that the image has not been tampered with. So again, it's something really important here. This is especially interesting for the brand new NFT business. I'm not sure how much you know of NFTs, non-fungible tokens. So basically, this is artists selling digital work online. And of course, what you want to avoid is someone buying your artwork and then selling it and pretending that they are the original artist. So because of that, again, you can use this system to basically make clear that some images have been tampered with here. So for example, in the screenshot you see here at the bottom, you can see that here, for example, so I've got this picture of basically the pyramids in the snow. And here you can see in the content credentials panel that this was apparently a mix of this image here, which is just a regular pyramids, and this image here, which is a picture of snow. And so by basically manipulating these pictures together, we've got these breadcrumbs showing that, yes, I was the one that basically built this composition of pyramids in the snow. So this is basically how it works. So again, those are the four major themes that we had, and I do recommend that you take a look at the Adobe Max webpage, max.adobe.com, and check out all of the pre-recorded sessions that we have there available. Now, with that, let's just go ahead and minimize PowerPoint, and let's go and let's have some fun here. So I'm going to start out here by taking a look at Adobe Lightroom. So Lightroom, again, Lightroom received a lot of new updates here. And the thing is, you might not be a heavy Lightroom user, because I know that traditionally, if you're like a Photoshop, InDesign, Illustrator kind of person, you don't really pay a lot of attention to Lightroom, right? Because it's Lightroom, it's something that photographers use. This is not for me. But the thing is, like seriously, you have to give Lightroom a chance here, because I'm not really a photographer. Like, don't get me wrong, I take a lot of pictures, like all the pictures you see on screen, I took all of these. But the thing is, it is so darn easy to use. It's a lot easier than Photoshop. It really, really is. And thanks to the like more complex selection functionalities that you now have available within Lightroom, it's basically kind of crossing the border of like why and where should you use Photoshop, and why and where should you use Lightroom. There has been a crossover now since a couple of weeks now thanks to these very, very complex selection methodologies here. And this basically means that there's a chance that if you want to manipulate something very specific in the picture, that maybe Lightroom will be the tool of choice for you because you notice it only takes you half the time thanks to these brand new updates here. Well, with Photoshop, a lot more possibilities, but it's going to take you a lot longer as well. Let me show you a couple of examples here. So, in a pre-COVID world, I used to travel. I used to travel a lot for work. I used to, fly around. I mean, not me, of course, but anyway, I would basically travel, visit conferences, and then see if I can basically spend some extra time actually sightseeing or just basically just taking a holiday here. So, let's say, for example, that I have this picture here. So this is a picture I took in Norway. This is just outside of Oslo, and we've got these very, very typical like orange buildings or green or blue buildings or red buildings. So again, this is something that is very, very typical for the Nordics. And so what if you need to manipulate the color here of this building? Now, obviously, looking at these bushes and shrubs in here, this is a very difficult selection to make because, like the plants and stuff, that is going to be a bit of a nightmare to basically try and select, in a decent fashion. This is going to be quite difficult here. So, how would you do this? Like, even in Photoshop, how would you do this? How do you start out with this? And that's your first question. Which selection tool are you going to use in Photoshop? Are you going to be using the magic wand, a quick selection tool? If you try and do like a color-based selection, it might give you a hard time over the shadows, the shadow areas here. So what are you going to do? Well, the thing is, I'm going to do this with Lightroom right now. So look what I can do. I can go ahead. I'm going to move it to the side here. There we go. And what we can do is we can take a look here at the brand new masking options that we have available within Lightroom. And here we have a color range masking functionality. Seems a bit like the color range command in Photoshop, right? But it is very easy. Let's take a look here. I'm going to go ahead and just click color range. And now I'm just going to go ahead and take a look at this panel here. So this panel tells me that there's a mask being applied that is now going to change the color range of this image. I just need to click on the image, click once, and it has now found this particular type of color. So if I now go ahead and use this sample input here as my color, I can now go ahead and make a change to that particular color. I'm going to go ahead and try and find like a blue version of this building. Now, obviously, it is really messing up the shadow. So I'm going to go ahead and hold down the Shift key. I'm going to click in this region, click, and maybe here once more, click as well, and maybe here, click. You can do up to 5 clicks, by the way. And then go like, there you go. So now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got all these different color ranges now. And the thing is that this did a really good job because now I can go ahead and change this any way I want. And it did a really, really good job. Now, my only problem is it's always also changing the roof because obviously, as you can see, the roof was a bit orangey as well. And I've got these wooden crates, which is also, which also has an orange color. So I don't need all of that. So I'm going to go ahead and based on this mask, I'm going to add a subtract mask. And I'm going to choose the brush option for now. And now I can use my brush, just like I can do with Photoshop here, to kind of brush back or basically exclude the areas that I don't want to use. I might actually increase the brush size here for a little bit. Just go ahead and kind of brush over this area here. There's no problem here in this area. That was clear. Or maybe I can go ahead and kind of change this this here, for example, a little bit there. And I am going to just kind of go up to the top and I'm going to take away this larger area of the roof. I'm going to get rid of the feather option just to kind of paint back the areas I don't really want. And the thing is, again, I've been explaining this for the last 5 minutes. So just kind of take away 5 minutes of explanation. How long did this take me? And like, you got to say, it did a really good job around the leaves. It took in the shadows. It took in everything. See? And again, if you want, you kind of go ahead and kind of exclude the areas that you don't want. This is just too easy. It's just way too, way too easy. And this is actually, for me, this was a lot easier to do in Lightroom than doing this in Photoshop. So you just basically choose the image of your liking and you choose the method of your liking because now, of course, if you kind of look at a full screen or a before and after version of this, you can clearly see that this has made a significant change to this particular image here, and I did this completely non-destructive. Okay, really, really cool. And don't forget, if you are doing things in Lightroom, if you go back into Photoshop, and then if you, for example, I'm going to go ahead and close a couple of other pictures here, for example, just kind of messing around with a couple of tests here. So remember that if you are using Photoshop, that there is a Lightroom Photos option in the welcome screen from where you can basically also access all of your Lightroom pictures directly from Photoshop. There is a very clear link between the two, just so you know. So I'm going to go ahead here. I'm going to go back to Lightroom. I'm going to close this for now. I'm going to go back to my pictures. Let's take a look at another picture here. Let's try this again. This picture here. So this is my daughter, and we took a trip. No vacation whatsoever. I have to stay home. COVID. It kind of sucks, but we were able to go and drive to France, which is great. And it was my first time being able to take my 2-year-old with me as well because of the whole situation. And look at how happy she is that we got to the destination. This is how happy she was for the entire trip. It was just amazing. But the thing is, I would like to make a selection of her because I need to kind of change the background just a little bit here. How do I do this? It's very simple. You go back to the masking options, you go here and you choose select subject. And so it's going to go ahead and select what Lightroom thinks is the subject of the picture, which is going to be my daughter standing here in the foreground. So this means now if I make any changes, it's going to be applied just to her. Or what I can do is I can go ahead and go in here and I can choose to also invert the selection. And now I can go ahead and manipulate everything that is in the back. So again, this is something that is very, very easy to do just by using the brand new masking functionality. So I am going to go ahead and try another picture just because I can. So I'm going to go ahead and what should I do? What should I pick? I've got too many pictures here. I've been taking too many trips. So let's take a look. Oh, let's take the bird, like this one here. So this is a pelican. This is a picture taken in, I think this is the end of Santa Monica Pier in California. And so basically a bird, awful picture because clearly I was taking a picture directly pointing at the sun, which means that the bird is going to be underexposed. Same thing, go into the masking options. I can go ahead and I can choose select subject, for example, which is going to select the bird. And now I can go ahead and change, for example, I can change the exposure a little bit here. I can go ahead and maybe let's change some of the colors here, right? So I'm going to go ahead and kind of remove some of the saturation, and I might actually increase some of the blacks here. And this looks a lot easier. Let's say I want to, let's say, for example, manipulate the sky as well. So what I can do is I can basically create a brand new mask. I'm going to choose a new mask from here. I'm going to select the sky, which is going to make a sky selection. Excuse me. And look what happens. If I now change the exposure, as you can see, it's actually only selecting that bird here, which is kind of cool. I'm going to go ahead and use something like this here. So now I can focus more on this actual bird. So this is super easy. It's just way too easy to use something like this. Now, also know that if you have other images, for example, if I take if I take this image here, for example, this is a picture I took in New Orleans in the United States. If I want to manipulate this picture here, what you can also now do is take a look at the presets because we've got a brand new presets option. And these are like community-based presets. So basically every single time you manipulate an image and you have a very specific look that you apply to your image here, you can basically share those edits online with the community, just a one-click thing that you have to do. So this means that now, if I click the presets option, it will analyze my picture and it will basically recommend presets based on what is visible in the picture. And of course, I can go ahead and look at subtle or strong or black and white or cool, all different types of effects here. I can just go ahead and kind of hover over these presets and it's going to apply those presets here directly to my image. Now, of course, this is not like Instagram because here I do really get to see the actual settings. See, if I kind of hover over these presets here. So if I kind of do like, you know what, I kind of like this one. I'm going to go ahead and just click. It's going to apply that preset directly to my picture. And now it's up to me to go ahead and further refine these very specific edits as I want to. Now, what's really cool as well is because I just basically applied non-destructive edits, this is still very much Lightroom. So look what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and hit Command-C on the keyboard to go ahead and copy settings. I'm going to go and try and find a different picture. I'm going to choose this one, which is again another picture from New Orleans. I'm just going to paste my settings, and now I've pasted the exact same settings and apply that to those images as well. So bulk editing, something that Adobe Lightroom is very, very good at. So again, something that is definitely worth exploring. Let's move on. Let's take a look here, for example, at Photoshop. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and launch Illustrator as well. So Photoshop, let's have some fun here. So what I can do is I can go ahead and just start out with a brand new image. I'm going to go ahead and just open up a file, and I'm just going to open up a file from here. I've got an Adobe Max folder, my demo folder. There we go. Photoshop. Let's take a look here. So what I can do is I'm going to talk about these two images here for a second. And so I've got one picture here of this hiker, this man who is obviously lost because he has a chart with him. And I've got this picture here as well, which is basically someone else that is on a hike. It's raining clearly, and this is a beautiful background. So let's say I want to take this picture here and take this individual and put this individual back into this background here as well. So what you do is very, very simple. I'm just going to let Photoshop do all the work for me here. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to choose select. I'm going to choose select subject, which is going to select what Photoshop believes is the subject of the sky. And look, it did a really good job because it really gone ahead and it did really, really select this individual, including the chart that he was holding. And now I can just go ahead and just drag and drop this person here and drop this person here into this particular scene. Now, I don't want this person to be here, so I can go ahead and just basically transform this picture like this. I'm going to move this picture here and kind of cover up, oh, hold on, shift key, cover up this person here in the background. This is basically what I would like to do. This is kind of what my campaign image should look like here. I'm just going ahead and just kind of apply this here. Now, the thing is, I'm just going to go ahead and just hide this picture for now here. Now, before I finish off the actual composition, I want to change what this picture looks like, because I got to say, it looks cold, but it's not cold enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some winter elements to this image here. And this is exactly where the AI algorithms come in. So I'm going to go ahead and go up to the filter menu. I'm going to go ahead here and choose the brand new neural filters. So the neural filters is, again, all AI-driven filters here, which allow me to manipulate the pictures in very, very unique ways. So for example, like I can colorize black and white images, I can supersize images if I want to. But what I really like here, which is brand new, is the brand new landscape mixer option. Basically meaning that I take a picture of one landscape and I apply its characteristics basically onto another landscape. So I'm going to click the landscape mixer option, and I can maybe upload my own picture, but it also comes with existing landscapes I can go ahead and choose and manipulate. For example, I have never chosen this particular preset here, but I'm just going to go ahead and give it a shout here. Like if I click this beautiful like meadow, it looks like spring or summer, it's going to select the properties of this sunlit green grassy area, and it's going to apply that here onto my winter image. Again, I've never really clicked that one before, so I'm going to be surprised what the result's going to be like, and it's going to take a couple seconds to process this on my device. This is pretty heavy duty, just so you know, but the results are just a lot of fun to just go ahead and experiment with here. So I'm going to go ahead and give this a couple more seconds and see what it gives me as a result. This gives me a good excuse to kind of drink coffee as well. Oh, there you go. Look, we've got greens, we've got bushes, we've got forest. Even this little pathway, little trail is still there in the picture. So it just basically decided that now all of a sudden this is spring. You can actually go ahead and add more sunset, add more summer, do whatever you want. Now I'm going to go ahead and just kind of select this very first image here, which is a winter image. So I'm going to go from summer to winter here in the scenario. And keep in mind, it's also keeping all these individual mountains there. It's not really painting over the entire landscape. It is keeping the original composition intact, because as you can see now, see the little trail, it's still there. This is now a winter version of this image, which I have to say is kind of spectacular here. Now, there's one problem here. This person is now frozen solid in ice. That's the problem I have. This person is dead. So I have to basically replace this person with someone new here who's basically starting to look a little bit nervous here because he's knowing what's going to happen. So I'm going to go ahead and place this picture in here. But now all of a sudden, this person does not really look as cold as he should be looking. So I'm going to make a couple changes here. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of zoom into this picture again. There we go. And let's imagine that this person is lost. And he's been lost for a very long time now. Like he's been missing for months now. So he has aged quite a bit. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of change his age here because he looks, he looks young and handsome, but I want this person to be a more mature person instead. And that's kind of the problem, right? Because you find stock images and it's like, well, I kind of like the setup and lighting and, and the position, but he's a bit too young. Let's make him older. So I'm going to go ahead and choose filter. I'll choose neural filters. I'm going to go ahead and look at the facial properties here. I'm going to choose the smart portrait option. As you can clearly see, it has detected this portrait automatically. And I'm going to go ahead and change the facial age. I'm going to add a good couple of years here. Now it's going to process this in the cloud. Again, it takes a couple of seconds here, which is fine. But just look what happens. Just keep looking at this person and then see what happens within a couple of seconds. Keeping in mind that he's wearing a hat. Oh, there you go. It just happens. I'm going to go ahead and just choose OK for now. Now look what happens, just kind of before and after. So what we did is we actually changed the age of this person. So we actually have like the beard is different. There's some gray coming from this hair and kind of transitioning into the beard. Like this is pretty good. We actually have like some extra wrinkles and stuff. Like this guy is tired. He's been looking forever. And I think I know the problem because I think he's just holding his chart upside down. But that is besides the story here. Now, one more thing I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and go back to my neural filters, and I'm going to change the lighting conditions as well because I've got this really cold bluish cold tones in the background, and I want to also apply that same vibe and coloring and color temperature onto this person who's holding the chart. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to choose the brand new harmonization option. I'm going to go ahead and just click that. And I'm going to say that I want to apply this based on the input coming from layer number 2. Now look what happens in a couple seconds here. It's going to analyze this image and it's going to recolor this image, allowing it to better blend in this one individual with the background. I can even go ahead and change the strength of the effect. I'm going to reduce this just ever so slightly. And now I'm going to just go ahead and choose OK. And now it actually recolored this image for me as well, which gives me a really good composite of this very particular file here. Like if I go ahead and just kind of open up the picture, like I'm going to open up a cloud document for now. Like, I experiment as well. So like here, I've got a similar picture. This is my two-year-old in the forest. And basically, like if I just take this picture of her, again, this is a stock image, and this is just her that I put in the picture. If I chose harmonize for her, I'm going to get this. Like it does a really good job like reapplying the lighting conditions of the background and applying that onto my subject. And I even went ahead and I even applied the winter filter as well, just to kind of like more snow in the picture. And again, this is like a really cool way of just working on your composition. So again, something for you guys to play around with here. I'm gonna go ahead and just kind of close this file for now. Now, this is what I currently have. I'm actually quite happy with this, but let's quickly go ahead and add a few extra things here. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to save this as a file. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and maybe just kind of make it a bit smaller for now. I'm going to scale this down to like 50% for now. I need to upload this into a cloud file, and just for the speed of my internet connection for now, and the fact this is a live webinar, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of reduce the size of this picture overall. So what I can do now is I can go ahead and choose to save this file, and I'm going to save this file to Creative Cloud as a cloud document. Now I'm going to go ahead and call this hiking winter. I'm going to save this directly in my Creative Cloud cloud space. Now, the advantage that gives me is that I can now go ahead and click this option here where I am basically inviting, it's still saving the file right now, where I'm basically inviting other people into my work. And so from a collaboration point of view, what I can do is I can basically go ahead and I can share the online version of my file with others. So I can invite people into my Photoshop file, or I can invite those people to comment on my work. Now, take a look at this here. It says link access, only invite people can see this composition. I'm just going to open up the composition in general, right? I'm going to go ahead and click change. And I'm going to say that commenting is allowed. And this is going to be a public link from now on. So anyone can share the link, in the company, and they can all take a look at this file here. So I'm going to go ahead and choose copy link. Look what happens. If I share that link with someone else, this is what they're going to be seeing here. If I choose paste, they're going to see this. This is going to be my Photoshop file in a web browser. And again, you can invite people into this file here, okay? And now I've got the ability to comment on the work. So I can say, add the slogan here. I'm gonna go ahead and do like this is where it should go, and I'll choose submit. And it's gonna add that comment to my work. Same thing here, for example, like there's a bit of blue here, like remove blue haze, for example, and it's this area. And again, I'll choose submit, which is great. And also going to see if I can maybe whatever, like add like a little logo here, like add product logo, and this should be pinned like in this area. There we go. I'm going to choose submit. So now I've added 3 comments. Now of course, I'm commenting on my own work here, which is fine. And now it basically added all 3. Now what's really interesting here is if I now go back to Photoshop, and if I now go up to the window menu, and if I choose comments, look what happens. It's going to load in the comments window, and look, it will bring in all of the comments directly into my file. And now I have proper input. So no more screenshotting of people and taking the screenshot of your file and putting it in PowerPoint, because that's the only way they use to annotate a file, and then take a screenshot of that and then send you that back via email. No more. This is all in the past, because now I can say add the slogan. I can say which slogan. I can go ahead and hit submit. And I can basically reply to these people, in this case myself as well, and they will all get email notifications and all that kind of stuff. This is really, really interesting. And what's also interesting is that I can even go ahead and take a look at this file here, because if this receiver has a Photoshop membership, he can even choose, if you want this person to do this, to choose to open up this file in the web version of Photoshop, because we've just announced Photoshop on the web, available here directly in your web browser. It looks very similar to like Photoshop on the iPad, so we are expanding Photoshop and Illustrator onto the web, giving you the ability to basically use the app without having to install the app. So again, cloud computing, it is the way of the future. So this is where we're headed here. And so basically now I can just go ahead, I can take a look at my layers here. And I can, of course, I can play around with the layers. I can go ahead and kind of move layers here. So as you can see, I can do everything. It even took in my screen, like my keyboard shortcuts on my keyboard right now. I can do anything I want here. And that's kind of cool thing, because now I can go ahead and further manipulate this design as I see fit. So again, a very short introduction to Photoshop here directly in the web browser. I'm going to go ahead and quickly close this for now, because I need to go ahead and jump here into Adobe Illustrator. So in Illustrator, what I have here is I've got a brand new 3D effects that I can use. So the 3D filters were added, I'm guessing somewhere in CS3, CS4, like a very long time ago. And now we've completely re-rendered and completely rewritten how those actually work. So the thing is, like, if you take a look here in Illustrator, we have a brand new 3D and materials panel that you can now start to use. So this means I can go ahead and now just select live text in Illustrator. I can go ahead and now choose any of these options. So I can, for example, choose the plain option, which will basically now just convert my text into a regular plain, which now allows me to just kind of add like basic 3D settings here. But I can also go ahead and add like an extrude effect, which is going to, of course, extrude this 3D type any way I want, basically giving me the ability to kind of give this a completely different visualization. And again, working with like this 3D text is actually quite interesting because you can go ahead and play around with not just the rotation, you can even, I'll just quickly zoom in here, you can even add like a little beveled edge if you want to, like this. Let's say it's going to be like 10%, like really, really refined. I can have repeat options. I can play around with the lighting conditions. For example, I can say lighting comes from the top left or the top right. I can even have like a diffused effect if I want to. And I can even play around with shadows and other types of effects here to have like this really, really cool 3D look here applied, in this case, to my live text. Now, also interesting here is that we've got the materials section. So with the coming of the brand new Adobe Substance 3D suite, which is a separate suite for 3D materials, you can now even go ahead and apply all these 3D materials directly onto your vector object, which is just going to go ahead and kind of apply this as a bit of extra shine here. Like maybe you want to go ahead and kind of rotate where this comes from. And everything will be rendered beautifully here directly onto my 3D text. Let's say I'm gonna use like a bit of gold here. Let's like it's a a gold person like digging for gold and it's trying to find the gold mine, whatever it is. So basically, looking at this here, you can now go ahead and you can now start to use all of this stuff here directly within Photoshop. So I'm just going to go ahead. I'm just going to copy and paste for now. It's not the best way to do this kind of stuff all the time, but I'm just going to go ahead and just going to do it just for this particular demo here. And I'm going to paste this as a smart object. By the way, know that we also have a brand new layers methodology as well, which means that if you have layered designs in Illustrator, you can even bring these in as layers in Photoshop. I'll show you that in just a couple seconds here. So if I just quickly choose like smart object and I'll choose OK, it is also going to place this as a smart object. And I can now go ahead, let's just kind of move this to here. And maybe I can now it's just going to upload this into my library as well, because I did not deselect the little checkbox. There we go. Cool. Now it's going to be in there as well. So now we can actually go ahead and let's just say that I'm going to move this behind my pathfinder, which is what I call this person. Can I move this? Yes. Here, I'm going to go ahead and just kind of add like an extra layer. And I'm going to go ahead and just kind of maybe choose like a very dark version of this color. And I might actually turn this into multiply, multiply. I'm just going to go ahead just kind of ever so slight, kind of starts to kind of brush like some of these shadows in here as well, just to kind of add like a little extra 3D touch here. And so this is basically what you can do. And so looking at what you have in Illustrator here as well, I'm going to go ahead and not say this for a second here. If I take a look at, let's say this design here. So if you take a look at like some of these designs, like this one here, if I take a look at the layers options, where are my layers? Where have my layers gone? I don't see my layers. There you are. So basically looking at layers. So again, we've got like groups of objects and stuff. And so again, what you can do is if you just go ahead and select these elements and then go to Photoshop, and if you just kind of go ahead and just paste, if you choose layers, it is going to paste in these elements like as separate vector layers, which is really, really cool, I gotta say, because now I can just go ahead and even manipulate like all of these individual elements because they all come in as vector paths, which means you can just go ahead, change their color. I'm not sure where this one. Oh, I changed the wrong one. You can go ahead and change their colors, and you can even go ahead and change, for example, what their vector shapes look like. So this all comes in as live vector shapes. Oh, was it the one on top apparently? And so this gives you a massive advantage of preparing artwork in Illustrator and then just copying and pasting it over all as individual layers here directly within Photoshop again, which is kind of cool. Now, also note that a couple of other adjustments that we have is, of course, we've got minor updates to both Illustrator on the iPad, Photoshop on the iPad. Again, really cool stuff. We've got updates to Fresco. We even have very small updates to Adobe Bridge. So I'm not sure, this is not in like promotional videos, but know that even Adobe Bridge has something that's brand new. For example, a Bridge will now allow you to build up like file process workshops, workflows, I mean. I'm going to choose yes for a second here. There you go. So there's a brand new workflow section now within Adobe Bridge. So this means that you just switch to the workflow section at the top of the screen, and you can basically automate a lot of the file processing that you used to do with Photoshop in the past. So just going to give you an idea, like if I choose my workflow, like I basically can say now that I'm going to batch rename a folder of files, and I can change the format to a JPEG with 12 image quality compression, then resize that to fit to a certain width and height. And then I'm going to apply the metadata tag and say that it should include the copyright and content information. And you can batch apply this to a whole range of different images. So for example, if I go ahead and take a look at the demo here. So like, let's say I'm going to take these images, just regular TIFF files, for example. They're quite big, like 138 megabytes. It's a big file here. So if I go ahead and just open up this folder in Bridge, so what I can do is I can just basically go ahead and just kind of select these files, and I'm going to just save this for a second here, and I can just go ahead and throw these onto my workflow. I'm going to move this one to the side here. There we go. So basically you can just select files here, and you can just throw these onto the workflow. So basically it's one job in the A files. You just choose start workflow, and it is going to run this workflow. This is a previous one. So it's going to run the workflow here directly without needing the help of Photoshop. There's no Photoshop running in the background. Bridge is doing this for you, which is kind of unique because in the past you had to open up Photoshop in the background, and now it's going to do this for you automatically. And look, there's a workflow folder now, and it even renamed the images with a number, and then the extra name here, so which is the name of the folder that I had here. And now, of course, I've got all these images good to go, all resized, all renamed, etc., because everything is here in this naming convention. It's all in there automatically. For example, here for the batch rename, it actually allows me to say, first I want text that says image, then a number, then an underscore, then the folder name, and then more text. So basically you can just set up these workflows yourself, which is for batch processing. Not something you do every single day, but when you do need it, oh boy, this is going to really save you a lot of time here. So I'm really happy to see those minor changes coming to the brand new Bridge version as well. Well, I've got about 5 minutes left, guys. I'm going to stop sharing my screen for now and see if we have any specific questions. So where is the stop sharing screen? There we go. So let's see if we have any particular questions. Now is the time.
Sim, se alguém quiser colocar alguma questão, pode colocar no chat. Também vou fazer, vou dar permissão aqui no Zoom para falarem. I'm giving everyone, I'm unmuting everyone, so if they want to ask the question directly, or if you want, you can put it in the chat.
You can ask your questions in Portuguese or English.
Yep.
Ricardo is going to translate if that's necessary.
Bart, the presentation was great, by the way, so really enjoy it. I don't think it's any questions. I think you demonstrated the tools very well and what they are capable of. So
that's great to hear. Just download the updates, play around with them, and if you can, check out the Adobe Max sessions. It's free training basically, all done by like industry experts, so it's not to miss.
So the webinar is recorded. We also will put this on our YouTube page from Tech Data, so you can look at after again if you want. Bart, thank you very much once again for helping us with the webinars and showing us the new features of the tools of Creative Cloud. We really appreciate it. Obrigado a todos pela vossa presença. Caso tenham alguma questão pós-webinar, podem me colocar a mim ou à Rita e nós ajudaremos. Thank you, Bart. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone, and have a nice day.
Thank you for having me. Have a great day. See you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.